The first time it happened, nobody in the precinct knew what to do. A woman in a sharp uniform, face still scraped from the asphalt, was calmly talking on a phone while everyone else froze. "This is the beginning of your end," she said, and the room went dead quiet. The cuffs clicked open before anyone remembered how to breathe. Her name was General Eliza Monroe, a four-star Army veteran who'd seen war zones quieter than her hometown that day. She'd only come back to Brookhaven, Georgia, to bury her father, a man who'd spent decades fighting for civil rights in a town that never forgave him for it. She thought she was coming home to mourn. Instead, she walked straight into the kind of injustice he'd warned her about. The trouble started on the highway outside town. Police had set up what they called a community safety checkpoint. To Eliza's eye, it looked more like a funnel for black drivers. Every white car rolled right through. When she pulled up in her black SUV with government plates, two officers closed in hands on their weapons. "License, registration, insurance," one barked. She handed them over with her military ID on top. "What's this stop for?" she asked, steady, voice eyes level. "Don't talk back," he snapped. "Just answer what you're asked." That phrase, talking back, it hit her like a flashback. Her father had been told the same thing by men wearing different badges. She breathed in slow. "Asking a question isn't talking back, officer. It's a right." He didn't like that. The door yanked open, cold metal pressed to her wrists. "Step out of the vehicle." "I'm complying," she said evenly. "And my name is General Monroe, United States Army." "Sure you are," his partner scoffed. "And I'm the president." They laughed as they shoved her toward the patrol car. By the time they dragged her into the station, her uniform was dusty, her wrists red. The booking officer looked at her ID and went pale. 4 stars, real, legitimate. "Sir," she whispered to her supervisor, "you need to see this." Within seconds, the air changed. The captain's voice shook as he said, "Get those cuffs off her now." Eliza didn't raise her voice. "No, you'll process me like anyone else. Paperwork, timestamps, all of it." He blinked, confused. "Ma'am, we can—" "You'll follow procedure," she said, "because I am not disappearing quietly into your system." Then she made one phone call to the Pentagon. Less than 5 minutes later, the station's phones lit up. Commander, state officials, the Justice Department. When the military police marched through the front door, boots in perfect rhythm, the same officers who'd mocked her now stared like schoolboys caught cheating. And that was just the beginning. The deeper she dug, the uglier it got. The safety program her father had been investigating before his sudden heart attack, it wasn't safety at all. It was a money machine, racial profiling wrapped in polite paperwork. They stopped minority drivers, seized cash, even property, and funneled it back into department budgets. Her father had found the proof, and maybe that's why he never woke up. A young clerk named Naomi Brooks showed up at Eliza's makeshift command post the next day. Small woman, fire in her eyes. "I saw what they did to you, ma'am. I work at City Hall. You need to see this." She slid over a flash drive full of confidential memos, maps of neighborhoods, to target bonuses for officers with high seizure yields. It was all there in black and white. Eliza stared at the screen, jaw tight. They built a business model out of discrimination. Her aide muttered, "And we just found the receipts." When she confronted the mayor, a smooth-talking man named Richard Kavanaugh, he gave her that politician's smile people practice in mirrors. "General, this town has problems. Some areas need more attention than others. If certain demographics are affected, well, maybe that says something about crime rates, not policy." She leaned across his desk, eyes steady. "No, Mayor. It says everything about your conscience." From there, the wall started cracking. Sergeant Tom Denver, one of the cops at her arrest, secretly asked to meet. "They'll fire me if they find out," he said, staring into his coffee. "But we get lists before every shift, names, cars, plates. Yours was on it before your plane even landed." His hand shook. "Your father's too." Caldwell was watching his house the night he died. A few nights later, Denver was found beaten half to death. "Loyal cops don't talk" sprayed across his wall. That was the moment Eliza stopped playing defense. She turned the local precinct into a war room, maps data, and a line of soldiers guarding every witness. Then came the lab report on her father's body. He hadn't died of a heart attack. He'd been poisoned with a synthesized neurotoxin, one traced back to the police department's own inventory. The requisition form, signed by Officer Ryan Caldwell, the same man who had shoved her face into the pavement. She stared at that signature for a long time, then whispered, "You didn't just kill my father. You killed your own soul." By the time federal warrants rolled out, the whole town was on edge. The mayor tried a press conference to spin it military overreach, personal vendetta. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted. Then two FBI agents walked up the steps mid-speech. Mayor Kavanaugh once said loud enough for every mic, "You're under arrest for conspiracy and obstruction of justice." The crowd erupted, half gasps, half cheers. Eliza didn't smile. She just watched, arms crossed, while the man who'd mocked her community was led away in cuffs under the same sun that had once watched her humiliation. Over the next few days, it was like dominoes falling: chief of police, city judges, the real estate developer funding the land grabs. Each one thought they were untouchable, until the evidence said otherwise. When Caldwell finally broke, he confessed without a tear. "They said it looked natural," he mumbled, "that no one would ever know. I was protecting the future of the town." Liza leaned forward. "You weren't protecting a town," she said quietly. "You were protecting your own reflection." Months passed. The town began to heal. Naomi, the clerk who'd risked her job, was appointed to lead a civilian oversight board. The sergeant who tried to warn her recovered enough to testify. The new mayor, a black doctor who'd grown up with Eliza, began rebuilding the department from the ground up. Real reform, not slogans. One morning, Eliza returned to her father's grave. The stone read, "He bent toward justice." She traced the letters with her fingers. "It's done, Dad," she said softly. "Not perfect, but closer." On her way out of town, she slowed at a new police checkpoint, same spot where it all started. This time, the officers were diverse, respectful, professional. A young black driver smiled as they waved him through. She couldn't help but smile back. Justice, she thought, isn't a destination. It's a process, one you fight for one stubborn inch at a time. So let me ask you something. If you saw someone being treated unfairly, talked down to, profiled, silenced, would you have the courage to speak up like she did? Or would you stay quiet, thinking it's not your fight? Drop your thoughts below. Type, "Justice matters." If you believe accountability should apply to everyone, no matter their badge title or color. Because stories like this, they only end right when people like us refuse to look away.